So you're trying to break parts, and you're wondering to yourself, why is this dog all alone? Also, what's the best build for breaking parts and why? Hi, I'm Zanny and I'm a Dauntless partner. Today I'll be going over the best build for breaking parts and giving some tips as to how to use the build effectively. Let's get to it. Breaking parts is essential for the majority of your crafting needs, with many weapons and armor pieces requiring specific parts in order to be crafted. Having a build optimized for breaking parts can greatly cut down the time needed to build whatever you desire. One of my favorite weapons for breaking parts is the Ember Cutlass. The Ember Cutlass comes with a technique and mobility slot along with the Evasive Fury perk, granting you increased attack speed after successfully dodging through a behemoth attack. While this is nice, what really makes the Ember Cutlass so effective is its unique effect. Every 7th hit in a row grants 250% increased part damage, which is the highest part damage bonus you can achieve in the game. This means that you don't have to run Sharpened or Bladestorm, as the unique effect alone is essentially like having both cells equipped at max rank. If you still wanted to run either Sharpened or Bladestorm, I would highly recommend running Sharpened instead. While 30% increased part damage might seem low, this is actually increased by damage multipliers, giving you a much more drastic increase to your part damage overall as opposed to running Bladestorm. Bladestorm's flat damage increase isn't multiplied by other damage bonuses, meaning it will always be 40 on hit and 400 after a roll respectively. Moving on from the weapons, I'll be looking at two dummy Thicc builds that make the best use of the Ember Cutlass. The first build is for beginners, while the other uses endgame armor pieces to push for more efficiency. The goal of our gear pieces is to achieve as many meaningful perks as possible, while also having some decent cell slots for the future. Luckily, the armor pieces in this build and the Ember Cutlass itself can be crafted very early on, and retain their usefulness all the way to the endgame. You'll want to prioritize upgrading these pieces, as your choices in cells in the early game aren't really that impactful until you start reaching higher cell ranks. If you want to learn more about cells, I've left a link to my video covering cells down in the description below. To give you an idea of what the final build should look like, let's take a look at my choice in cells. Overpower fits perfectly into this build due to the fact that breaking parts is also counted as a stagger, though doesn't nearly last as long as a true stagger. This means that you can easily gain frequent periods of almost double damage just from breaking parts. Sharpened increases your part damage considerably, especially if you dodge through a behemoth attack. This is mostly a luxury perk, but it will help you acquire as many parts from your hunts as possible. Evasive Fury is a natural fit in this build, as throughout the game you'll be practicing your ability to dodge through behemoth attacks. When you perform a successful dodge, you'll have your attack speed increased for a short period of time, rewarding slayers that are diligent and quick to react. Conditioning is another luxury perk that increases your stamina regen, making it useful for newer players who are struggling with stamina management. Etheric Attunement is one of the strongest utility cells in the game, as it increases your lantern generation while also reducing the cooldown of your lantern's tap ability. And lastly, Conduit provides additional attack speed every time you use your lantern's hold ability. Conduit synergizes extremely well with Etheric Attunement, making it an easy fit into this build. All of these elements form a build capable of achieving fast hunt times, while also letting you break a majority of a behemoth's parts with little issue. It's also a great build for farming hunt pass experience if that's your thing. The advanced build does away with Sharpened and Conduit, and instead focuses on amplifying your damage through the use of Cunning and Rage Hunter, keeping you ahead of the curve on most fights. I've left a link to both builds down in the description below, as well as the two other builds that use the Boreas Sword instead of the Ember Cutlass, in case you want to farm parts off of fire behemoths. Before we wrap up, I wanted to give a few tips to help improve your efficiency while you farm. The best way to farm the most parts in the shortest amount of time is to learn how to effectively switch off parts. For example, if I break a behemoth's head, then I should immediately move to attacking the limbs closest to its head. Usually it's arm or legs, depending on the behemoth model. This means that not only am I efficiently spreading out my damage, but I'm also getting a head start on breaking the next limb due to Overpower being active while the behemoth is momentarily staggered. Tying into this point, your positioning is also something that's pretty important to keep in mind. Using the head break example, you should always be in a position to switch your focus to an available limb. This helps you not only break more parts, but also gives you an advantage when it comes to dodging attacks. Lastly, I would strongly recommend playing solo if you're trying to target a specific part. The more people in your group, the higher behemoth health and part health increases, meaning you're less likely to break the part you'd like to break in a reasonable amount of time. And that's going to wrap it up. This is a solid build for farming parts, and I highly recommend using it if you're trying to spice up your grind. If you enjoy my content, feel free to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with my antics. I'd also recommend checking out my dummy Thicc boys RevvyRad and OhDough. They have some dope content and are good friends of mine. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Take care, and have a good one.